Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Cancer in July 2020. Hello, Cancer. How are you guys doing? I hope that you're doing well. All right, friends. First right off the bat, happy birthday, Cancer. It is your season. I hope wherever you are, however you're celebrating and whomever you're with, you have a fantastic time. I know it's still a little bit crazy out there with this pandemic and other issues going on in the world, in our country, in our societies, in our towns and neighborhoods and all that stuff. So always be safe, always be cautious, always be erring on the side of goodness and positivity and optimism and all that stuff. But in terms of your specific birthday, in terms of your specific special day, I hope you're able to celebrate and be around people who know and love you and care for you. Okay? If you're having a dessert and it happens to be cake and ice cream, please have a serving for me. It is my favorite dessert on planet Earth. Anyway, Cancer, like I said just a moment ago, still a little bit of a crazy world out there. We are still dealing with a pandemic. And so whatever you're doing, please be safe. Please be healthy. Please be happy as you do so. I know it's a trying time. It's been so the majority of 2020, right? So please know that I'm thinking and wishing well for everybody and erring on the side of positivity and optimism for the future, because we're going through some type of transition globally, spiritually, individually, all the ways, right? And hopefully what happens, what the outcome is on the other side is better than what we had before we got into this whole mess, yeah? All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Cancer, I have, that's a little, hold on. Whoop. There we go. Cancer, I have shuffled off camera. That's your main spread there. I will shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. Timestamp is in the description box if you want to jump ahead. Also down there, you will find the information you need if you want to get a personal reading with me. If you have any questions before you place an order with me, just go ahead and email me at the same address and I will answer you as soon as I can. And if you are interested in following me on Instagram, that link is down in the description box below. Go ahead and click it. Pull oracle cards over there a few times throughout the week. Recently did a pick a card, so that was kind of fun. So those are kind of the things that I'm doing over there. If you're interested in being a part of that journey or just, seeing that as you scroll through your Instagram, just go ahead and follow me over there, okay? All right, let's get into it. I want to see the outcome for Cancer in July 2020. Please show me Cancer's outcome in July 2020. Please show me. Very interesting. I just did, who comes before you? Gemini. I just did theirs. And they had a different deck, but they had the same card in their outcome. So that's interesting. If you have an overlap with a Gemini, that might be important to you. Their reading was kind of interesting, though. Anyway, let's flip what came face down for you, because it's your time now. Cancer, it's your time. And again, happy birthday to you guys. Your birthday reading I did back on the 21st or the 22nd, so that's already in your playlist. I didn't mention it in the pre-shuffle, so I apologize. For those who are interested, there will be a live reading done for you guys next week, July 11th, probably at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's usually when I go on, so if you're free around that time, come on and hang out with me, okay? All right, let's get into it. Please show me where Cancer is in July 2020. Cancer in July 2020, please show me. Okay, we got it. All right, Cancer, let's do this. Coming into July, you come in with the energy of the Seven of Cups. A lot of boobs in this deck. A lot of bare breasts in this deck. So I apologize if that's a little offensive to you guys, but say la vie. Now, Cancer, what you gonna do? What's going on? You're probably asking yourself this every day you wake up. What is going on? What am I doing with my life? What's going on regarding this particular situation that you're dealing with, or a particular connection or relationship that you're dealing with, whatever it is. Lots of uncertainty or considerable amount of uncertainty, let's say it that way. If not a whole bunch, there's just enough of confusion and misunderstanding, or, trying to puzzle something out, trying to figure something out, that you're just like, scratching your head. And I'm I'm getting like an old visual I used to have when I first started doing tarot of like, like in like a cop drama, like a TV cop drama or like a movie or something where a detective is standing in front of a cork board and they've got thumbtacks in the cork board, and it's like with strings attached and like all the evidence and all the suspects are up there and they're trying to put the pieces together. Like this is kind of what it feels like. It feels like you're trying to put the pieces together. You see, there's like pieces or like shards of geometrical shapes falling down above this person's head. So you're trying to put the pieces together in some situation, in some relationship, in some form or fashion. And for the moment, you feel like you're being driven crazy. Trying to get to the bottom of something. Maybe you're, playing detective and you're trying to, suss a person out or suss out the truth in a situation, or you're trying to figure things out for yourself on a personal level. What am I doing with my life? Where am I going? Who am I going to be partnered with? What roles am I going to take on in my life? What aspirations do I truly have? That latter part that I was just describing is more relative to the Cups energy. Well, it's all relative to the Cups energy, because when you get to the Seven of Cups, it's an evaluation or puzzling through or trying to figure out emotional landscapes in your life, right? So this is figuring out who's actually a solid friend to you. Maybe one or two people in your life, you're kind of like, I think we're friends. Or maybe they're playing me. Maybe I'm a friend of convenience. They only come around or they only speak to me when it's convenient for them. Every time I invite them to go somewhere, they have previous plans or they make up an excuse not to come. And you're kind of like, is that fair? Is that balanced for me, right? In the dating sense, this person and I, we get along really well, but they're not telling me how they feel. And granted, maybe you're not telling them how you feel. That's a two-way street. Be careful with that. Or not be careful, but be mindful of that, okay? And there's just like this uncertainty between you and another person, romantically speaking, or with friendship, right? Same thing with your own development. You might know you desire something, or you might know that something feels off in your life, but you don't exactly have your finger on the button yet. Like a detective standing at that evidence board, all the strings are pointing to different suspects and different storylines that could make plausible sense to solve the crime, right? Okay. So for some of you, that's very on the nose. Okay, maybe not on the nose, like literally, or speaking specifically to a crime, but there is a misdeed for some of you. You're trying to get to the bottom of a bad action that you made, that someone else made, or that just exists in an environment for you, period. And you don't understand, or it doesn't make sense to you as of yet. Everything that you do know isn't enough to add up to anything that makes sense, right? So this can consume you, Cancer. Water sign energy, fourth house energy. It can be very consuming to you because fourth house energy is about safety, security, home, and hearth, right? Where you lay your head to rest. Safety, right? Comfortability, yeah? And if you're dealing with a person who you live with, if you're dealing with a person who's close to you intimately, not sexually intimately, but like intimately, like a good friend or someone you've known in your family, like a close cousin or something like that. If there's uncertainty in a relationship like that, or in that aspect of your life, again, fourth house, foundations, home, hearth, all that good stuff, you become obsessed. And you want to know where it is. It's like an invasion or like an infestation, right? If you think about your house where you live, right? And things start falling apart, the door handles start falling apart. You can see, little nibbling at the baseboards in your house. You're like, do I have termites? You would want to know. If the wood paneling in your house starts falling to shambles, to pieces, you would think, I have an infestation. And you would call an exterminator. Tell me if I've got termites. They come out. I don't think you have termites. You're like, what? I don't? It's like, it boggles your mind. So whatever you're dealing with, you're trying to figure it out. And every guess that you've made thus far, or every hunch that you've followed through with, it hasn't come up crystal clear. Yep, that's it, Cancer. That's the answer. You're like, you keep getting more and more questions or more and more uncertainty piled on top of what you're already uncertain about. Does that make sense? This is, yes. Why do I keep saying that? Or why was I saying that? Because again, these shards, these pieces keep falling on top of this person's head. So when you think you found the answer, something comes along and complicates it even more, or something comes along and throws you off track, or throws that solution that you had set in your mind. Well, it must be this. And then you get information that says, oh, it can't be that. So it's a doozy. Let's just say that it's a doozy. So what else happens for Cancer? Please show me. Yes. Okay. So you are on a different path than someone else. Kind of what has been thematic throughout the previous 3 readings, because I'm going in order from the monthlies. I go in order. So you're the 4th sign I'm doing. And the previous 3 have had a similar feeling. Once I come out of the initial card, I'm getting this context of I have to act in my own behest. I have to act for myself and take care of me, primarily me and the people that I care about, the people that are closest to me, my children, my family, my friends, whatever. So what I'm sensing is you're just like, okay, I'm not going to figure this out because you've tried. This isn't something that happened yesterday. Whatever the 7 of Cups is about, this didn't just develop yesterday. This is over months, if not years of your life, that you've been trying to get to the bottom of something, that you've been trying to figure out the context of a relationship or the substance of a relationship, trying to figure out what you need to be doing in your life, trying to figure out the things that you need to conquer in your life, etc., etc., etc. Now I get the sense, similar to the previous 3 readings, you're ready to bite the bullet. You're ready to move on and actually take steps to be done with this, uncertainty, be done with this cloudy energy. Yeah. So you have the 9 of Pentacles next door. 9 of Pentacles, single ladies card. You don't have to be a female to relate to this, so you can be a male and you can be in your single ladies energy. But the 9 of Pentacles, more to the point, is just this energy of independence, this energy of I'm taking care of me, I'm prosperous, I'm abundant, I'm self-sufficient, and I'm secure, and I'm wise. As you see, there's a little owl down there next to her arm. So there's taking what wisdom you have, utilizing it to advantage yourself in a situation. So if you only know 40% out of a complete picture, you're somehow going to spin that 40% in your favor. That's what the 9 of Pentacles is giving to me now. So you drop what you don't know and you commit to, or you take advantage of what you do know. So what do I mean by that? You only know 40% of the whole picture, right? And based on that 40% and the 60 unknown that you don't know, what do you do? I get the sense some of you walk away. Yes, because of what's coming up with the World card. You walk away. You simply want to close this chapter, close off this storyline in your life and be done with it. And that might be a road you have to walk down by yourself. It might be a road where you have to prioritize yourself, put yourself in the driver's seat more so than another person being in the driver's seat, what have you. And it's really protective energy because the 9 of Pentacles doesn't overextend, doesn't underperform either. It knows the sweet spot. That energy, that 9 of Pentacles knows what the right amount of energy and effort to give to a situation in order to sustain the self, in order to be happy, to be abundant, to be taken care of for the self, right? So you may have, like I said, been a little obsessed, been a little driven mad, driven crazy because you can't figure someone out, or you can't figure out why something isn't going your way. Why can't I, in some of your cases, and this is no shade. This is like literally some of you may have discovered for the first time ever because it's not atypical, but some of you may have for the first time discovered, oh, I'm depressed. Like contextually with all the drama and the stress of the pandemic, economic outlook, personal financial outlook, stress at your job, stress with your family, your children, your spouses, your friends, whatever. All of that together, most of 2020 has been a shit show, right? And some of you are waking up going, oh my God, I'm depressed. That's why I feel XYZ. That's how come there's like this huge gray area in my life, this void in my life, is because I'm dealing with depression. Whereas before, you didn't deal with depression, or you weren't aware that you had this very common emotional disorder or mental disorder or what have you. So because you are now realizing something about yourself, or rather, so let's just say you generally self-diagnose. And I don't recommend self-diagnosing. I'm not a doctor, nor am I somebody who thinks it's wise to do that. But let's say you go with that. Oh, I think I might be depressed. But you've never dealt with depression subjectively for yourself, right? And you only know 40% of what to do. The 60%, do I see a doctor? Do I seek medication? What kind of therapy do I do? Maybe I just need to, get back into some type of fitness routine. Maybe that would, provide a boost to my hormones and whatever. You're like unsure of what to do. All you know is you have to do something. So you commit to the energy. You commit to the knowledge that you already have, the 40%. Hypothetically, I think I might be depressed. Maybe I should see a therapist. Boom. You don't know if how severe your depression is. You don't know how severe this unknown in your life is actually impacting you, but you at least go with what you know. The 40% that you do know is something's off. I suspect it's this. Let me take that wisdom, that knowledge I have, and move forward. Close out this chapter of uncertainty, right? Because with the World card, secondary major for Capricorn and also associated with the fixed signs. So Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. You could be dealing with any of those signs or none at all. And again, boobs. Anyway, in tarot, the world signifies some type of significant ending or chapter ending is normally what I call it. It's like you move from chapter 4 to chapter 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 and so on and so forth, right? So this is you desiring to wrap things up. In some of your cases, this is a desire to actually physically move on from a situation, because the world can talk about literally picking up from one place and moving to another, okay? But more to the point, I think a lot of you have learned a lot of lessons in this situation, this relationship, this state of mind that you've been in, this funk that you've been in, emotionally, mentally speaking, and you're wanting to take the lessons head on. I do sense a very proactive energy, and that's been, again, thematic for all the readings I've done thus far for July, is people are really being forthright or productive, or trying to be productive, trying to take matters into their own hands and take up the wheel, right? And not have other people decide things for them or lead the way. Lots of independent energy, and yours is no different. Interestingly enough, but I think it's that wisdom and that maturity that comes from the Nine of Pentacles. I think Cancer, more than ever, or at least more than recently, you're willing to take a loss. Other signs have been a little, I don't want a loss. You're kind of like, if I lose it, I lose it. If this doesn't go in my favor, it doesn't go in my favor. I think just getting away from the stress, getting away from the uncertainty, getting away from the cloudiness is the bigger desire, right? And if you lose, if you suffer some type of loss, if you suffer some type of setback, if you end up being given news or prognosis or diagnosis that doesn't, isn't welcome or you're unprepared for, you're kind of like, I'll take that problem on as it comes. Like whatever problems fall out from me walking away, from me moving away, from me closing this chapter, if there's complications after I do something to begin to detangle from that Seven of Cups, I'll handle it then. It's very mature, I'd say. Because a couple other signs have just been like, I don't want to, or I don't feel there's going to be a problem, even though the cards were like, there might be a problem. Yours is like, there might be a problem. And you're kind of like, that's okay. I feel like your top line, because I think there's someone else down here. I think, yeah, they're like, somebody else lives down there. Somebody else lives down there. That might mean something to somebody. Like you might live above someone, like in an apartment situation, and that could be a point of contention. But whatever. So I feel up here, there's a ownness. Like you own the situation. You own whatever happens to you. Possibly, because of this being Nine of Pentacles, some of you have put yourself in such a position that any loss would be relatively minor to the grand scheme or the bigger picture of your life, or whatever area of your life we're talking about. You've sustained yourself. You've accumulated enough stability in some type of way that any type of loss isn't going to be major. So that's good. Good for you. Now, the bottom line. Yeah, yours is separate. You're the first one that has a pretty separate reading. There's someone else, or there's another side to this story that's a little more challenged. And it has nothing to do with you, even though it affects you in some type of way, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. So, what do we have? We've got an embattlement. Embattlement? That might not be the best word. We have a dicey entanglement. Let's put it that way. Three of Swords. Now, for those who have been with my channel for a while, you already know what I'm going to say. It does not have to mean third-party situation. It could be, but I don't think it's in that traditional way that I think most people would conceive of third-party situation. In some of your cases, it will apply, but for the most part, if it is a third-party situation, I don't think it was straight up, there was a previous commitment and then someone came in and broke up that commitment or created some complications within. I think mostly because of the artwork, there was already fractures in the foundation. This was like on the tail end. If this is about, quote unquote, traditional or what is normally thought of in third-party situations, if this was about a cheating scenario, or it's like one of those at the tail end of one relationship ending, another relationship began. And it feels like a third-party situation, even though technically it was not. Does that make sense? And I've been there before, and it's complicated. It really is. Because what I'm sensing is a dissolvement of a marriage, a separation, a breakup, and then within a couple of weeks or a month or so, there's a new relationship on the horizon. Technically speaking, that is not a third-party situation, correct? Technically speaking, we broke up in May 2020. Come June 2020, there's a new partner or a new relationship developing. Is that third party? Okay, so take it with a grain of salt. So that's why I'm just like, it could be in that quote unquote traditional way we perceive it. But the point is, this is dicey in the sense of there was complications on the scene well before a major complication. Does that make sense? So again, cracks in the foundation. There we go. Cracks in the foundation. So let's go back to that idea of termites or something going on, wood rot in your house, right? Exterminator comes, Terminator, I was going to say, the Terminator. I'm the Terminator, whatever. So an exterminator comes to your house. They say it's not termites, but you're showing some type of infestation in your house. And because there's no proper diagnosis of you have termites or some other infestation, the exterminator's just like, yeah, there's something eating at your house, but I don't know what it is. And they leave. They bill you, here's my bill, and they leave. So there's something going on in your house. Those are the cracks in your foundation or whatever. But it never gets a full diagnosis. And you're still living in this house. And then, you keep opening up cabinets fall off the hinge, your baseboards are getting eaten clean out, whatever. And it goes on for months and months or weeks and weeks or whatever it is. And then finally, part of your floor gives way and part of your leg falls into the basement or falls into wherever. And eventually the flooring in your house starts to give way, right? And so what I mean is, as the cracks in the foundation are allowed to persist, they're not properly addressed or diagnosed, the issue grows and grows and grows, and it never gets addressed until, boom, your leg or your body falls through the floor and you're now, you're now, laid out in the basement or something like that. You see what I mean? So because a problem that existed in a relationship, whether it be a romantic situation, a business one, a family one, like I said before, some of you have been dealing with depression, but you didn't know you were dealing with depression. It went uncalled or unchecked, let's say, unchecked, undiagnosed, unaddressed, okay? Till eventually one day, the bottom falls out. Just goes completely to shit, yeah? That can or cannot be related to the interference of an outside source. Does not have to be romantic, doesn't even have to be a person. Like I just said, some of you have been dealing with depression for a long time, and the pandemic came along and exacerbated that situation. You could have already had a financial crisis, and then because of economic downturn and because of economic constraints, now you're, on the brink of being foreclosed on in your house. Not to say this is what you deserve. That's not the tone at all I'm trying to take. It's more to say something outside of whatever was existing in the foundation came along and made the foundation that much more weak. Does that make sense? Okay. So I don't think that necessarily is your life. The one with the weak foundation. It would apply for those where you're dealing with like depression or some issues, some personal issues that have gone unaddressed. That would apply to you. But for those where we're talking about another person, that's their life. That's their foundation. Because again, up here is a very, I don't want to say a very solid, because some of you're very new to this Nine of Pentacles energy. So it's not like you've been spending years and years in this spot. Some of you, this is newfound, yeah? But for somebody else, your friend, someone that you're dating or someone that you want to date, a family member, a coworker, whoever, they have that issue. And you may have been the interference, or you may not have. It doesn't matter. Because they didn't handle it right, or because they haven't addressed things, it makes it that much worse. It makes it that much worse. Another way to think of it, you fall down a set of stairs, or you trip over something, you twist your ankle. You don't go to the hospital, you continue to walk on that ankle, you make it that much worse. You end up, with some type of hairline fracture or something like that. You know what I mean? Something that was already fraught, already disturbed, should have been addressed, but it wasn't. It was left to its own devices, or it was left unattended, so to speak. And that has put someone in a position to consider something, to reconsider something, or pick it up, for God's sakes. There we go. Or to be in a situation that's uncomfortable. The hangman is more the point. So the hangman is a state of suspension. A hangman is a timeout, is a pause, is a time to reflect. However, it's most likely done in the midst of, or it is inspired by, it is the starting point is some type of drama, is some type of BS that nobody wants to be involved in. But here you are being suspended for an extended period of time in the same BS you don't want to be involved in. So going back to those where, you are having some type of third party situation. Again, it doesn't have to be romantic. This could be a friendship, and then another friend comes in and they cause drama. Here you are stuck between, two friends that are on the outs or something like that, and it's just a mess. So somebody is stuck in the middle of mess. Now, the trick is, in tarot, when you see the hangman, is not to focus on the mess. It's not to focus on the stress of the mess, not to focus on how uncomfortable you are. What you're meant to do is persevere, to see through the mess, see past the mess, and find some type of resolution or some type of perspective that will allow you to free yourself. Okay? So, that is a hefty call. That's a tall order, right? How can I see past my stress of not having secured finances in the middle of an economic crisis, in the middle of a pandemic, Jay? How could I not see that stress? How can I not acknowledge that stress? It's very tricky, especially in this reading, this hangman, where you might want to fight, or where you might want to lash out, or you might want to crumble to pieces. There it is. Whatever the natural inclination is in the time of stress, in the situation that is troublesome. Whatever the natural inclination is, what needs to be suspended, is what needs to be moved away from. Okay? So if you normally panic, you shouldn't panic. If you normally turn to your vices, don't turn to your vices. If you normally try to fix the situation and you go in there, like I was saying earlier with the Seven of Cups, some of you, or even the other person, they could do this too. They might analyze and obsess over it, think about it over and over and over again. You're not supposed to do that. In the hangman position, you are meant to put those previous inclinations aside, your go-to moves to the side, and walk into, or put yourself in a position, well, you are in a position, or whoever's in a position, because it's a major arcana, so it's like affecting you. It's not something that you choose most of the time. It just so happens. It's like almost coincidental, but nothing is coincidental. It's all part of a big plan, yeah? But anyway, so put those natural inclinations to the side and sort of lean into the discomfort, lean into the uncertainty, lean into the unknown, and somehow in there's meant to be some type of awakening, some type of epiphany, some type of a aha moment where possibly through a sudden stroke of clarity, the solution befalls you. And it feels like that. It feels like for somebody, they get the hint, or they get the big clue, or they get the big missing piece of the puzzle. But if this is someone else, Cancer, for some of you, this is you still, but in many of your cases, this is someone else. They might wake up too late. They might wake up too late because where you're in this trajectory of, well, I can't stay here and complicate things in my head too much. I can't obsess over this. I've got to, take whatever I can, take the loss on the chin if I have to, and move on to the next chapter in my life, the next phase of my life, yeah? This person is a little more circling the drain. They're taking a little bit more time, and they are challenged because of the Ten of Pentacles. They're challenged because of long-standing beliefs, historical, generational beliefs, and values in their life. From a family, from their own, making their own sensibilities, their own convictions, right? They could be loyal and dedicated to a job, like I said, for some of you, this World card can talk about moving, and this person is like not interested in moving, or there's something about, as you see in the back there's like an old farmhouse and like a little tower. So maybe there's like a family home issue, and to move away from the family home is to abandon it, is kind of what they feel like. And there's something about changing these traditional aspects of themselves or the situation that is bothersome. It's really not easy. This could be, this could be a story between you and your brother or your sister or some other relative, where you're seeing complications of how things have been done in the family the entire time, how we handle our finances, if this is, generational money, if this is inheritance or something like that. And it's just like, you don't want any parts of it, or you want to change it, or you're trying to understand it, but you've been excluded from knowing certain things. And because you don't know anything, and because you can't rectify the situation, you can't put a solution into it, whatever your efforts are or have been thus far, Cancer, it's really gotten you nowhere. So you're kind of like, well, let me just move on with my life. And another person or the other side of the situation is coming to that conclusion later than you are. And in terms of reconciliation, in terms of finding a solution that works for both sides of the situation, it might be too little too late. Or they might not realize anything. Because the hangman is not a guarantee of an enlightenment or an aha moment, yeah? It's just what you're called to do spiritually. People don't have to do shit spiritually, truly. Just because the universe or spirit or God or whatever you believe in or don't believe in says, hey, why don't you take this amount of time, or why don't you take this experience in your life and grow from it, doesn't mean that a person grows from it. Doesn't mean that a person has any type of realizations in that moment, in that situation. It could go completely over their head. Or they might acknowledge it personally, but never acknowledge it to anybody else outside of themselves. So this is not even a guarantee that this person would take the hangman and become wiser for it. Remember, I told you with that Nine of Pentacles, it's a little bit of wisdom, even if it's only 40% of the full picture. You're taking that and you're taking that going forward with yourself. You're utilizing that wisdom, even if it's lacking, to your benefit. You're going to use it. This person might have more wisdom in the situation. They might have 80% of the big picture filled out, but they might not utilize it in the way that you would. Does that make sense? So, Cancer, worry about you. That's kind of what yes, worry about you. I don't know that you and this other side are meant to blend at this moment. I'm not sure that that's healthy for you if there is another side. If this is all self-contained, it's a little more complicated, it's a little more nuanced. But ultimately, I think you should concentrate on this self-preservation. I think you should concentrate on finding balance with yourself, wellness with yourself, and letting go of, because that's the other thing, taking the lesson and letting go with that World card. This person over here, or this other side of the story, this other element of yourself perhaps, is slow on the uptake, is just not there yet. If they ever will be. Who knows? Now your outcome, Cancer. Seven of Swords. Totally different feeling than Gemini. Although, like I told you in the beginning, they did get this in their outcome position in a different deck. So there might be some overlap for you guys. But I really do get the sense of you might have dodged a bullet. You know, the situation at hand, if it's more than just you and another person, if it's like 3 people, 14 people, I don't care. But if it's like for those where we're talking about friendships and family circles and just, you know, more than you and one person, it's way, there might be too much drama for you to, again, like you've dodged a bullet. Like all the love and the care and the concern that you would put towards the situation. And by the way, I haven't mentioned it, but this whole time, this could have been a vice versa reading. It is a general. So if I'm not talking to Cancer and I'm talking to a cross watcher, totally apply it. Now, anyway, any love and care and concern that you would put towards the situation, I feel would like be wasted. There's something going on that you are not privy to. Because look at this guy. He's sneaking away with these swords. But look what's going on in the background. It's a kerfuffle. It's some type of war scene or some type of fire. And someone is like not a part of that. Now, that can be because they're a shady person. That can be because they're a dastardly person. But at the same time, it can be because that's simply not their path. It's simply not where they're supposed to go. Take your swords, take what you have that you can carry with you and move away from that drama. That's kind of what that feels like. Very interesting. Overall energy, Cancer, is the Six of Pentacles. So there has been an issue of fairness here. There has been an issue of equal give and take. Sort of what I was just talking about with the Seven of Swords. What you give is not necessarily what someone else can give back to you. There might be a lack of reciprocity here, a lack of fairness here. And, you know, Cancer, for the most part, I think you aim to be fair. I think you aim to be someone who isn't overly greedy and isn't taken for a fool. I think for the most part, Cancers are at least aware. Maybe they don't act it all the time, but at least they're aware of what is right and what is wrong in the situation, and what constitutes fairness. Yeah, equal give and take, and that just wasn't happening, and it hasn't been happening, and that works even if we're talking about yourself. If you have been chugging along and ignoring these symptoms of depression or these strange highs and lows that you were experiencing over the past few weeks or months, that's unfair. You haven't treated yourself fairly. So that can still work even if we're not talking about any intermingling with other people. Wow, interesting. All right, Cancer, that is your reading for July. If you liked it, there is a like button down below. You can hit that for me. If you want to leave a comment, let me know how this resonated in your life. I would love to read that. You can leave it below. Feel free to share the reading if you want other people to see that this message, you think they might resonate with it, or you just want to share my talent and my skills with other people. That'd be super cool. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, there is a button for that down below as well. Feel free to hit it and join the crew, join the community. That would be super cool. Cancer, I'll be back very soon, next week. Again, July 11th. I think I'm going to go for 7 p.m. Eastern next week on the 11th for your live reading here on the channel for your birthday season. That's for Cancer specifically, so if you have a question and you want me to answer it with any of my tarot decks, feel free to drop by the chat and I will go about trying to answer those questions for you. I'll also be back soon to do your mid-July reading, so you have that to look forward to as well. Again, be sure to check your playlist so you can see the birthday message, which I put out at the tail end of June for you guys, okay? All right, Cancer, if you want a reading, that information is down in the description box below. I thank you guys so much for watching this video. Take care.